Right. Good day, everybody. I think we can get started. Thanks a lot, guys, for this opportunity. Will be taking you through the two sessions today. Today the focus will be on how to use your class list as well as how to create your assignment. I'll be using both your sandbox just to make sure that you do have access to this. But then the manner in which I'm going to proceed will be I'll be quite interactive. Just give me a bit of time to show you what I need to show you and also give you a bit of time to play around with the system. All right. And then guys, if you do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and then I can pick up the question from there. Okay. Let me go to my sandbox. Right. This is your actual environment in terms of sandbox. The two things I say that we're going to be focusing on will be the class lists. You don't see the class list on the navigation tab, but then you can actually see your classes from the course admin. So what you need to do, you go to the course admin, and under your course admin, you'll see that under learner management, you'll see that you have your class list there. So I'll be taking you through the class list. I'm just going to touch base also on the class progress as well as on the assignment. Those are the three key areas I'll be focusing on today. So if you go to your class list, the class list is quite straightforward, but not straightforward per se. But then the few things I like about Org, it's quite flexible when it comes to playing with it. But then a few things that you need to check from the class list. If, for example, you have your enrollment statistics, you have your email class list, and you have some of the features there for you to print, all right? And then you have some of the users already there for you to, you can see them as they are there. But then let's quickly have a look at the enrollment statistics. This one, it helps you really to check, for example, if you have users in your space and what permissions have been actually given in terms of the roles. And you can see, for example, in this case, we have Campus EdTech. We have 9 of them enrolled on this particular aspect. It just gives you a brief description of the roles of your users in particular class. That's the first thing. Then the second thing that you're going to have from this particular section is for you to use the email list feature. The email list feature, the way it works is that if you want to email, for example, some of the users, let's consider all these as your specific users. So all you need to do, first of all, select the users you want to actually send the email to. If you want to send the email to all of them, that is a different story. But if you want to select maybe a few of the users, you're more than welcome to do that. And then you can actually go to the email list. And then you can actually go and send the actual email, right? So it's quite straightforward like you do with your actual email. I'm not going to email because this is like blend carbon copy. It's going to go straight to all of these ones. I'm not going to actually flood the colleagues here with those emails. But then as you play around with this, you can actually play it with this. And then what you can see from here is actually the body of your email. So the body of your email is quite straightforward as well. So what you can do there, you can actually compose your letter, your message that you like to compose. And what is actually very also important is actually the features at the bottom here. Some of the features here, they are really good when it comes to, let's say, for example, you have maybe there's a few students and you want to send specific message. Let me go back. I just want to send a specific message to one student. And then let's say, for example, this particular student, I want to send that particular email to this particular student. So you can customize this particular email to the student. Let's say, for example, you want to remind the student about specific aspect in addition to what you're actually putting in the email. It could be a record, it's small video. It could be also an audio. So especially for those ones doing at-risk monitoring, this is very good, a very good tool for you to actually play around with. And then this will be actually attached to your email. And then after you have composed your email, you can actually send this to the recipient. So that's what you need to know regarding those features. And a few things I want to touch base on here is the instant message. Instant message also, it works quite well because what it does, what you do, you can actually have a very short message to that particular student you just want to work with. Let's say, for example, you want to remind a student, can you please go back and maybe check your your assignment. The assignment is due on a specific date. You can actually compose that particular message and then send to the student, which is actually very good. Okay. And then the other thing that you might need to do with your class list, if you want to actually print your class list. So if you want to print your class list, all you need to do, you can select all your users and then go and print the actual list from your student, from your class, which is quite straightforward. Okay. I think those are the main aspects we need to really be mindful when it comes to the class list. Then there are quite a few things I want to touch base. For example, when it comes to, let's say, for example, you want to search specific options here. So let's go back there and do search options. Let's, for example, I just want to find out from my class list how many of the roles that I do have. Let's say, for example, I just want to select maybe, let's say, people within that particular class who are maybe, let's say, with campus admin grant. Okay, that is actually an example there. So you can do that. And then you can specify the date, the last date if you like to. But then this is already very good because you do have already very important information that you're looking for. And when it comes to search, all you need to do is just come here and search. Okay. And then what you're going to get from your list is actually, it's going to filter exactly all the users within that particular class with that particular role. So you can see all of the campus admin tech, or in terms of the users, those are the users I managed to actually filter from here. And if you want to unfilter, all you need to do, you go back to the role and then just untick that. And then you can see that you can go back and you can see that you have all the users back as it used to be. So that's one of the things that you can play around with when it comes to your class list, and then how you like to, search your users, or you want to email particular users from that particular class. And what is also important for lecturers, especially when it comes to, reminding students, you can actually use this particular section for you to email directly the student or email the group of students and send them the message that you like to send to them. Okay. Right. That's pretty much for this particular section on class list. So what you could do, your own time, your own spare time, you can quickly play around with this particular feature in terms of the class list and compose a few emails, and that would be one thing that you can do at your own time. Any questions on this? Is it clear? Easy way? All right. Let's go to the second step. The second step I want to work on is actually the class progress, right? The class progress is very closely linked to the class list. Unfortunately for your course, your sandbox, what happens with the sandbox? The sandbox does not give you, if you go to the class progress, it does not really provide you information because we don't have populated data. You can see no user found and does not actually give you any data there, right? So what I would do, I would just try to use my love system just to show you when we start actually rolling out the love system, what it looks like when we start playing around with the class progress future, okay? So if you go to the love system, I'll talk to you about the user, the agent here. It's a little bit later on. But let's go here. I want to go quickly to that particular feature from the love system. And let's go to the class progress. So the class progress, the way it works, that now we do have data you don't have, unfortunately, you don't have, but then for me, just to show you, to demonstrate a few things that you can actually be mind of when we're going to have the love system. Now, the love system, if you go to the class progress, it works more or less like your your grade center. It's actually, I can call this like the grade center, but we do have a very insight portal with very advanced features, but then this gives you at least a very good indication of what you need. So if you check, for example, a student to tell you, for example, in terms of the system access, how many times the user actually access the system, the content, how many times the student actually access the content, the quiz, it to tell you exactly the performance of the student, and also it to give you an indication about the grade. So let's go back and pick up on one student here. So if you pick up on one student, so you'll see on your left, you'll have like a full summary of what need to be happening, what you need to be checking. For example, the grade. If you actually click on it, it will give you a breakdown of, for example, your ICE tasks, how the student is actually performing and what it stands in terms of the ICE tasks. And then you can see, for example, the content. You can see what it looks like in terms of what the student has visited and how many times he has actually accessed some of this content. Discussions board, you'll have all these until you see all the assignments. So it gives you a very good view for you to trace and track in terms of the monitoring. So that's actually a very good tool for you to play around when we're going to have the lab system. Definitely all of you will have something similar to this to trace or track or monitor some of your students. So that was actually from the lab system, as I said, that because from the dummy system we don't have data, unfortunately, and it makes no sense for me to work on that progress. But then just to give you an idea, using this, what it looks like. Okay. Now there's also, going back to the sandbox, your sandbox, we do have the agent system or the automate system. This is a very advanced feature, which I'm not going to touch for now. Reason being because we still don't have data. Even if I use the actual lab system as well, it makes sense for me to set up some of the parameters when we have the lab system, so that you can also play around with it, so that you do understand how it actually functions. So those are the two elements I wanted to do, the two aspects I want to touch base today, which are basically your class list and class progress. I just want to check quickly something about the class list. There's something I might have actually left out. Just give me a second. I'll check something about the class list. The other thing about the class list before I move on to something else is these particular features here, right? So you can send the student directly the email from here, or you can also work out in terms of the edit accommodations. I will explain to you what are those ones. So the two other features here, for example, view auditors is most of the time, if we have added, for example, let's say moderators in our case, but they call them auditors in the format they actually worked on. And also you can even actually view the group where the students actually being grouped in. You can actually see from there. But then that particular feature I've already explained to you earlier on. It's more or less the same that you can also do on the other side. Edit accommodations also, this particular feature is linked to the quizzes. So basically what we're doing here is basically to add or maybe give a student another opportunity to access that particular assessment, like in this case, or maybe give another opportunity for him to go and come and do the actual quiz. So we can link this particular feature to other numbers of assessment. It could be quizzes, it could be activities, and give them enough time to come and play around with the submissions. But then this is going to actually be controlled by the person who's actually managing, in this case, your lecturer. So the lecturer, so if you're looking after this particular system, you're more than welcome to allow student chance to come in and submit based on the number of times that you want that particular student to be given that particular opportunity. Okay, I think that was one thing that I almost forgot about. But then, yeah, that's what you need to know regarding the class list as well as class progress. Just want to find out, maybe I want to give you maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe to play around. Just look at your look at your class list and then play around, troubleshoot a bit, and try to see whether you're able to send a quick email, you're able to send to add a video to it or to record something along those lines and send to your user. And then just after that, I'll give you 2 minutes, then we can actually move on to the assessment. All right. So I'll give everyone about 2 minutes just to troubleshoot. And then we can move on to something else. Right. While you're working on that, let's move on to the assessment. So when you go to the to ORC, there's about two places where you can access the assessment. The first place you can access the assessment is actually on the navigation tab. You can access your assessment from here. That's the first place you can access your assessment. And the second place where you can access your assessment is actually from your course admin. So if you go to course admin, you scroll down under your course administration section, you can see that you have also the assignment feature there, right? So you have those two. So let's use one. So what I'm going to do with this particular section is to help you understand how you can create your own assignment. I mean, the way ARC has been designed is that they use assignment for things like your tests. It could be your POE, it could be your practicum. That's how they actually define assignment. So it's not like assignment to talk about formative, but then you can actually have an assignment. In this case, it could be your test, it could be an exam, it could be your practicum, it could be also the POE. Okay, so the actual environment of the assignment, because it looks more or less like this one over here. So it will have things like your new assignment, edit categories, and more actions there. So what I'm going to do, I'll take you through the basic steps like how to create your own assignment, okay? An assignment, and then if we had data, let's say, for example, student did submitted some of these assessments, you would have seen actually the marks actually reflecting in this particular columns. But let's go and create our new assignment. Right. So if you go to the assignment, the first thing that you're going to get is actually the title. Let's create a title for this, for our assignment. Just going to create something like this for S, 512, something like this. And the other thing that you're going to get here is actually asking you to grade out. Very important. You need to make sure that you have this. And then the other particular aspect that we need to pay attention to is actually in gradebook. So for lecturers, for example, when you're creating your own assignment, it could be an activity, it could be a task that you've created, and then you need to make sure that you link this to your gradebooks if you want to see this in the gradebook. Okay, the first thing I showed you earlier on in terms of your class lists, I showed you earlier on from the live system, you can actually see if you actually link some of these marks, they will actually appear in your gradebook. So the other thing that you need to include here will be actually the date. Let's include the dates there. I want to put here something like, let's say, okay, I'm just going to put 29 November. Okay. And then you just need to put instructions there. I put instructions. Okay, just going to put some of the instructions. I'll just copy this and paste. Let's say, let's see. I'm going to copy this. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm just going to put my instructions here. And then have this. These are my instructions. So remember, guys, you have all the features here for you to do all the editing the same way you're doing actually on Word. So it's quite straightforward when it comes to editing. I put my instructions here. Now, if you're a lecturer again, you're more than welcome to enhance your your instructions with things like your audio, if you want to add an audio to the instructions as part of your instructions, or you can even add, you can actually record a video as part of your instructions. So it's quite straightforward. All you need to do, just get your camera on and then just put in your record, it will record, and then by the time you finish, you just add, it will be actually added to this particular instructions. So that's one thing that you need to do. So once you have done this, there are a few things that you need to look at before you actually save and close this so that you can see. The first thing is actually the availability, date, and condition. So some of these are called, I call them like parameters. Parameters, very important parameters. Let's go back and open some of them. So it says, for example, when do you want the student to start and when do you want to add? So let's say, for example, we want this to start on the, we want this to start on the 20, say, we want this to start on the 19th. And we want this to end exactly on the 29th of November. These are some of they seem to be basic sometimes, but then it's very important that you stick to this, okay? And then the other parameters that you need to look at in terms of the release conditions, okay? The release conditions, you're more than welcome to create a new or an existing. So in terms of the release conditions, we want to make sure that in this case, at which point in time that particular assessment should be actually released. So I'm just going to try to see if I can create a new condition for this. And the very good thing about it is actually some of these assessment, they should be linked to some of the assessment already in existence. Like in this case, we might have like your discussion board. You might have actually either the grade or it might be actually in the quiz space, or you want to have this as part of the competency or as part of the class list. So it's important that you link some of these to one of the conditions here. Let me find one of the conditions. I can actually try to link this. Let's to grade value. Okay. In the grade items, I just want to link this to project 1. And then you need to include also some of the conditions. I just want to make sure that you include all the parameters. This is one of the things that you're going to be getting oftentimes, and then before you actually release the conditions. And then you move further. If you have special access for specific student, you're more than welcome to include them here. But let's go to the submission and completion conditions. Let's go back to the category as well and see. It's going to be under the category of assessment, and I don't want to create a new category for that. And one thing I picked up as well already in terms of the file submissions, I picked up already, like sometimes when we change some of the file submissions, you have to be very careful for your student to make sure that when you want students submit, leave it to unlimited, which is actually great. And then when it comes to restriction, it's always good, best practice to leave it to no restrictions, leave it as is. And then if you want to include specific notification emails, you're more than welcome if you want to personalize this or to customize it to student. So you're more than welcome to do this, but then I'm not going to do this for the sake of time. So let's move on to something else, evaluation and feedback. The other thing I want to touch base is actually the rubrics. Okay? For this particular assignment, you can actually add a rubric or you can actually import a rubric. So what you could do as a lecturer, you can actually create a rubric offline, and then you can actually import it. But this time around, what good thing about ARC is that you can actually create your new rubric. Okay, let's create one new rubric. Okay. So I'm just going to show you how to play around with the rubric. Few things you need to make sure that I'm just going to put the title of the rubric. When you have time, as part of this exercise is to play around and create your own rubric as well. Marking rubric. Okay, that is IF 5112. Now, in terms of the criteria here, you're more than welcome to change this criteria. These are they've been given to you, but then you're more than welcome to change this. So level 4, I'll change this to exceed criteria. Exceed criteria. Kind of just change this like meet criteria. I'll change this later on. Then the other thing I'm going to do here, barely meet criteria. And here does not meet criteria. So you can, so because I'm actually creating this from scratch. So, but then if you have already, if you do have like your own criteria, you have created this offline, it's quite easy. You can actually go back and change some of these marks here. So here, I'm just going to put 15 there. Let's say, for example, here, I'm just going to put 10. That should be like 5. And then here, I'm just going to put, I'll leave it maybe to 1. Okay, leave this one. So this is what another exercise that you might need to do, and then keep that for the overall group or overall report. But then you can see I've put my marks out of 45. So you can actually have this as an example of your rubric. You're more than welcome to include the text that you like to include in terms of the criteria. You're more than to put whatever comments there, for example, what it means, for example, to exceed the criteria, what it means, for example, meets the criteria or exceed the criteria, or for example, barely meeting the criteria, what it means in your space or in your specific module, right? Once you have all those type of things, once you're done and you're happy with your actual rubric, then you attach your rubric, okay? And once you have attached your rubric, the other thing that I want to also pay attention to is this particular section here in terms of selecting evaluators. You might have a list of internal moderators or external moderators that you like to add. You're more than welcome to add those external moderators to the list. Like in this case, it's only myself, but then you're more than welcome. I mean, if we have to set up, we can actually add some of the moderators there. And then once you're happy with the moderators, so you have included them there. And then the other thing that you might need to do is to, let me quickly have a look. If you have that, I think that will be all for that particular section there. And once you're done, in terms of Turnitin, I hope that the team you have touched on Turnitin, if you really need to actually add Turnitin as another dimension or another part of the criteria to your assignment. Okay. So once you're happy with that particular criteria in terms of the assignment that you have created, you're happy with all the format, then you can actually save and close, right? I'm just going to save and close, then you can actually quickly have a look on the other side. And then you still have the function on the side, whether you want student to be visible to the student or you don't want it to be visible to the student. So if you want it to be visible to the student, you can more than welcome to leave it there. And then you can actually do this and save, and your work should be saved. So let's give it a few minutes to save, right? So the work is saved. So what I want to do quickly is just to quickly have a look. So if you're a student, you're more than welcome to change your position there. Like I'm actually accessing this as a facilitator. You're more than welcome to change this as a student so that you can actually see what it looks like. So your assignment is being created is actually here. So that's how your assignment will look like. It look more or less the same from the side of the student. So that's how it should look like from the student side. But then if you, let's quickly go to the student side as well so that I can see what it looks like from the student side. Let's quickly look out on the side. Just gonna quickly have a look. So let's see. Let's see quickly why it does not show me. Okay, okay, I see why. Let's just go back and I need to change something. Change something quickly to that particular assignment. Oh, change something quickly. Just give me a second on this. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so it was hidden from the student. We have to change that. Okay, so to make it visible to the student, now it should be visible to the student. So that's one of the things that I forgot to do that from my side. But then that's how you go about actually creating your actual assignment. This is only one example, but then you should see the list of your other assignment that you have created actually appearing this way from your main list. Right. The other few things that you might need to do from this particular section is either you want to preview your assignment, you want to preview the particular assessment that you have created, or you want to change few things or hide or make it visible or even delete the actual assessment the way you would like to, or just to see the event log. That's something that you can quickly actually do also from your side. Yeah. So what I'm going to request the team to do is to spend the next 10 minutes. You need to create your own assignment. Find your own title. Sorry. Find the title of the assignment. It could be any of the assignment. I'm going to give you a few minutes so that you can create and then ask me questions so that I can actually pick up so that in case you have questions, so you can ask. What we're picking up from the training is that many of the colleagues on the call, of course, as much as you do attend the sessions, but then you're not engaging a lot extensively with the system, which is quite a problem. But then I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. Each one of you just create something of your own, an assignment of your own, and then let's pick up a few questions from there. And if you have other questions, I'm happy to answer those questions. You can use any assignment, any title of your assignment. It could be business management, it could be business information systems, it could be BUSA, business analysis of your own. Play around with it and try to include also the parameters or the conditions or the criteria, or possibly also include a rubric of your own, include a rubric, attach to a rubric, and then let's see, and then I'll pick up the questions from there. I just want to see from the chart, is there any question from the chart? Okay. Any questions? Are you anyone struggling with creating an assignment? Just create a basic assignment, a quick, simple title. And what is important is actually for the team to start knowing how to use the actual features of the assignment, and inclusive of things like your criteria, because that's what I'm picking up, that yes, we do get like those issues where the assignment should actually be presented and how it should be presented, but then don't really be stringent in terms of the format. But then what's important is actually to know how to develop the assignment, and also things like criteria conditions, and then so add your actual rubric from there. Any question? Someone struggling with any aspect? Are we all good? Yes, no? Okay. Okay. Yamkele is saying is good. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. And Silindile is also saying it's good. Patlela also saying good. Right, that's the format. I think for my side, that's those are the few things I wanted to chat to you about today. I think what I would do, I know that I do have another session with the team the next 2 weeks or so when it comes to things like the actual dashboard for analytics. I'm happy to also touch base on it. But guys, if you have questions, please drop those questions. If you're struggling with how to create, for example, a rubric, because like those who are doing development work, I think they are very much involved, like myself, I'm very much involved with those type of things. But then it should take you a few days, a few time, I mean, few minutes for you to start, analyzing or maybe understanding how to develop your own rubric. But then if you have like, the go ahead, I mean, it will help you in the long run on how to develop a very good rubric. Okay. Right, good guys. If we do not have questions, but then guys, thanks a lot for your time. I'll leave it to you. We can spend again more time to play around with things like your class list and as well as sending emails, as well as creating your own rubrics and assignments.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Byron.